Hello, welcome again to another episode. On this episode, I'm going to be talking about personal branding, and I'll try as much as possible to give you guys an overview of what I have been doing so far to build a personal brand. And subsequently, that leads into having some form of a definition of who you are and how you can use that for socioeconomic profit and building a lifestyle that hopefully reflects who you are and what you aspire the world the world as it should be based on your point of reference, and hopefully it's a good one, right? Definitely. So just to give you guys an overview of what this video is going to be about, is we're going to go through how to think of yourself as a personal brand, and hopefully it can help provide some sense of relief that you actually are valuable and you can actually use what you already know, what you already have, to build something that is, sustainable for you as a career, but also something that's helpful to others to build on who you are as a person. So this is just a slide that I'm gonna share. Just it's gonna be brief. It's not gonna be a PowerPoint presentation, but it's gonna give you a sense of what I'm trying to convey here. So just to begin with, right? So this is a presentation I'll definitely do in other events and projects that are downstream, but something that kind of always resonates with me is, always good to identify your education level, what you've done. But this slide is just a snippet of accolades. But I think what's more important is in the following slide, right? That I try to talk about personal branding. So personal branding, it has very sometimes some negative connotations, but I always think of it like personal economics, right? Because when you think of economics, it's about production, distribution, consumption, right? But most important is the transfer of wealth, right? So pretty much what personal branding is: transfer of wealth from me to you, right? Transfer of value from me to you, right? It's a trade-off, right? And it's something that, if you think of it that way, it's actually very nice, right? You're just transferring value from one thing to another, from me to you. And the transaction might be my talent, my inspirational quotes that I put on Instagram, or all the projects I'm trying to do with Pre-entrepreneurship School to inspire people to learn more about entrepreneurship and the entrepreneurship theories. And a trade-off is you are giving me money for that, right? You're giving me a transaction in response to that, right? So it's always something that we've been doing. It's just that think of it like I think about it consciously. I think the effort to build something that I consciously think about. I'm building a framework that I consciously think about, and I'm actually applying effort, putting timelines, and being consistent enough to be able to say this is something that I care about, and this is something that I'm willing to trade off with others for others to kind of see the value in what I'm building, right? So that's the whole premise of it. So the first thing to start with personal brand is always just start with the personal web page. I think the society has developed in such a way that we always have to be thinking about how people gonna see us online. What is our online footprint, right? So having a personal web page is very critical because it gives you an understanding, or it gives others some point of reference where to find you online, right? And for the most part, most people search online about you, and it's always good that you are the front seat to kind of build that information out there, right? So having a personal website is very critical. I have one. I use Webly to build this one, and the other one's Wix. You can use Wix. You can use Google GoDaddy. There's some very simple applications out there that you can help you to build very nice and very straightforward websites. So that is a very good way to kind of start the online your personal branding, right? So that you actually narrate the story and you actually have the power of say. So you have to go ahead of others and try building like a personal website online for you to have the front seat with regards to that. Just the following up is that think of yourself as a brand. So the first thing is, how do you think of Netflix? How do you think of Google? How do you think of Apple? And all these other important brands out there. And one way that is always good to always start off is thinking of yourself as, how can I position myself in a place where when someone thinks of something important or something that can add value to others, they think of my name, or my name comes up, or my name is one of the top five or top three, right? And something that I've been trying, I personally, is like, if someone thinks of emerging markets, if someone think of Africa, building business in Africa, they should think of Jacob. If someone is thinking of, oh, they need to talk to someone who is interviewing people who are doing amazing work in emerging markets, or you should get on Jacob's podcast, right? So having like a market product fit, but you are the product in how you're designing your brand is very critical, right? And so if you don't think of it as a brand like the Nikes, the the Facebook or the Netflix or IKEA, right? That's a very interesting example of a brand that once you think of, you want to refurnish your house, you want to start a furnish your son or daughter's room, dorm room, you always think of IKEA, right? So those are very good ways to kind of identify yourself as a brand. And if you're building your business around that, it's very critical that you can actually have a portfolio of services that you're offering that can help uh, point people to that brand identity they're trying to build. So I think that's very critical of thinking yourself as a brand. So one of the things I've been doing recently is doing a podcast, right? I do YouTube videos, and you see the brand there. Starting the school, the Pre-entrepreneurship School. And with that, the goal is to invite others, share some very helpful tips on how to think of entrepreneurship, think of entrepreneur, think of how to position yourself to become a better entrepreneur, and also have to think of idea, like ideation, right? Building an idea from just a thought to something that can be actionable, applicable, and can actually transform people's lives. One other thing that I've been working on, this is a silent project, but it's something behind the works, but something I'll just share with you guys is to write a book, right? And the book is, kind of help, build my network, but also kind of expand my horizons, how I think of helping others and building something that's scalable for the long term. But the most important thing is, like, once you pick this project, they have to be all scalable, right? One project that they can actually scale, they can actually go beyond a few thousand people, but to 100,000. But also the impact of it can be reciprocal, right? Most people will be able to share your knowledge, share your ideas, and share your skill sets, right? So I think these are some of the platforms like podcasting, YouTube, within a school. It doesn't have to be a school like mine, but other things that can actually be transferable, scalable, and also there's a reciprocal impact, two-way direction of how you think about it. I think that'll be very helpful. So how do you start, right? So the first thing is always just identify your story, and it takes a while. It's not a one-way, 1 year thing or 2 year thing. So you always have to think about how long-term the impact will be, but also just start with reflection, right? Who am I? Where am I from? What is something that is very important to me? What is something that is very valuable to me? And how can I really um, embrace that and own that, right? Because if first you don't identify your story, you can't embrace something, right? So I always look at it as identify your story first, then afterwards you embrace it. And this takes a while. It might take a couple of months, it might take a year, but the most important thing is that you have to start, and you have to consciously think about how you can do that, right? How you can definitely identify it and how you can actually embrace it, which I think is very, very important. So the second thing is, as you start identifying, after you identified and you own your story, try many things. You don't have to pick some few things, like literally go out there and just do many things. As you can tell, I'm doing podcasting, I'm doing YouTube, trying to write a book and all these other things. But the whole point is that you always have to think of doing many things so that over time you realize that there's certain things that I'm good at and certain things I'm not good at. So far, I have a feeling that I'm good in podcasting. YouTube is right there. And the other ones fall in any order. But I think the goal is to try many things, then try to narrow it down. And I think with then you'll be able to get to a point where you can actually start identifying things you're really good at. The next phase, which is just a collaboration of seconds, once you're trying things, don't just try the traditional things, right? Try to do things that don't really fall under like the traditional way of thinking, right? One thing is starting a podcast. It's very easy to start. The one I do is Anchor, and I just started publishing a bunch of interviews that I had in 2019 with some amazing entrepreneurs in Peru, Taiwan, right? You just have to start somewhere, but just try something that doesn't necessarily have to be something traditional, right? You can be out of the box. You can be something that doesn't fall within the realm of what people consider a side hustle. Just do something that can actually scale, right? So I think podcasting can scale. It has this capacity to reach out to many people at this reciprocal effect. Try something really hard, maybe writing a book. It's really tedious. I am in a program doing that, but through that you learn about other people, you interact with people that are just they have a different way of thinking and different ways to approach life, and I think that helps a lot. Kind of build a build a that psyche that is necessary to start thinking of yourself as a brand, or think of yourself of like, I can do other things that are meaningful, valuable, and something that I can share with others. So, I mean, the third thing is, you have to start now. There's no waiting and say, oh, I have to be perfect at this. You just have to start it. And for example, this YouTubing, I just started, and with time, I've become better at it. I think you can tell me based on the comments, but sometimes, or the podcasting, which is something I've been doing for longer time than YouTubing, I just did a bunch of episodes. I'm not there yet, but I think with time, I'm getting a hang of it. And sometimes you just start. And with time, the other people that are really willing to help you build your platform join you along the way, right? And you start getting interest from people that are willing to work with you, partner with, but also just to learn your story. And I think that is what is critical as you get on this journey to learn about yourself and as well as build out your brand. So one other thing is like, you have to diversify your portfolio and try to work on several things. Don't work on a lot of things. I say a maximum 3, but try to just work on, multiple things that are not all so often correlated, so that you don't feel like you have to stick to one thing so it makes sense. Sometimes you just do a lot of things at a modest level with a reasonable level of consistency that matches your story and identity, so that with time you'll be able to say, okay, these are things that I can juggle around, and I can boil it down to 3 that I'll focus on and work on. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to do just one thing, and if it gets frustrating, or you don't like the process because it's trial and error, you give up. At the same time, you don't want to do a lot of things, so you don't end up spreading yourself thin. But at the end of the day, it has to hopefully match your identity, your story, so that you feel engaged and you love the process of how that works. So, and the fifth and the most important thing is the last one, is to be consistent, relentless, but also very flexible. You want to be able to make sure that you can change the approach on what you're doing. You can get feedback and reassess the progress of how it's been done, and just actually includes, and sometimes very small tweaks can change a lot about your business or what you're running. And it's very important that you receive feedback. I bet you should not change everything if someone tells you, oh, this is something wrong. There's certain things you should believe in, but at the same time you should always know, like, what's the most important thing that if I twerk, more people will be invited into my world, more people feel engaged, more people feel like I'm offering value to them, right? And that's something that I'm learning. I'm something I'm more cautious about, and hopefully I can build on moving forward. And this with the feed comment, simultaneously try to always start building a network. Reach out to people on LinkedIn, and this takes some experience as well. But don't be afraid to just if you find someone interested on LinkedIn or on Facebook or on Instagram, just send out a message. You never know what's going to happen. But just make an effort to build your network, because it's through your network, genuine connections, that you actually are able to meet people that are going to help you build yourself better, learn more about certain skills that will be invaluable to helping you build your brand, but also just help you align with a bigger mission, a bigger purpose, that you're not in it alone, that you have a village, literally, as you build your network, out there to support you, to also be a guide for you, especially your customers and your clients, who are the people you serve, such that at the end of the day, when you are down, you know that this is something that's bigger than you and something that will hopefully last beyond one generation. So those are just my tips. One of the things that we'll learn in the Pre-Entrepreneurship School is actually learning some of these, how to do personal branding. And I invite you to apply to this. It's going to be next month, beginning Saturday, February 6th. You can reach out to me. There's the first 2 Saturdays is free, so you can just come and listen to me talk. I'll send out the Zoom link for people that sign up for the program. So you can actually sign up by going to thepschool.com. And the first 2 Saturdays, you can just join in and see how you feel. We're talking a lot about entrepreneurial mindset, entrepreneurial theories, how to pitch presentations and community building, and also a lot of personal branding, right? Which I think is very important before you start a business. So that's something that hopefully was invaluable to you, learn something. And I'm always looking forward to talking to people who are interested to, you know, you know, reach out and just learn about my journey, but also most importantly, learn about your journey and where you are at. And if you're interested in the Pre-Entrepreneur School, you want to talk about personal branding, you can always reach out to me at jackofforthing.net. Thank you for watching this video. Please feel free to subscribe, like, hit the bell icon as well. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.